For today's cup of coffee, we've got a couple of interesting articles.
Yes.
This is a question that I didn't know that I needed to ask. And that is, where is Shakespeare's head?
Who knew that was a question?
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't even know his head was missing. I figured it was buried along with him.
Right. But apparently there's been debate over this since he died, or close to after he died.
Is it like Walt Disney's head? We all know where his head is. It's in a freezer somewhere.
But is it really? It's
cryogenically frozen. They say that it's false, but do we trust Disney with saying that? No.
I don't trust Disney with shit these days. After what's come out, oh hell no.
No.
Anyhow, this article comes from Historic Mysteries. And that really is a cool website. I'm enjoying exploring that. And this is by Jim H. And I'm assuming it was written around 2016. Because that was when some stuff was found.
Okay.
And this is actually pretty well written, so I can pretty much use it verbatim, as opposed to a lot of them that I'm like, oh my God, this is poorly written. And so Jim says, a grave with possible disturbances, repairs to the floor surrounding the grave, a mysterious skull found in a vault, grave robbers, a mystery that spans hundreds of years. One might say that the mystery of Shakespeare's head is reminiscent of a Shakespearean play. However, it is actually a long-standing mystery that could finally be answered with the use of modern science.
Okay.
See, that's actually very well written.
Yeah.
Shakespeare was laid to rest in the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1616 with a marker that states, "Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." That's pretty fucking awesome.
Well, that should be on everyone's grave. I'm going to put that on my fucking tombstone.
Yeah, that sounds good. And it says, while this marker could deter some from touching the grave, out of fear, many experts believe that Shakespeare's head was removed from his resting place in the church. The expert's opinion matches the story and details that someone stole the skull in the late 1700s. Now, I know we've got, as far as the macabre, we enjoy that.
I like this.
But as far as stealing someone's skull, or even not stealing it, but owning someone's skull, no.
Actually, yeah, I would. I mean, I wouldn't steal it. I would gladly, buy it from a science, college or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's already, done its due.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I've got this thing about human remains.
But, I would gladly have a real skull. I would have a human bone, like a femur. I would like a femur, and just hang that up on my wall.
Wouldn't it be better to get a cow skull or cow bones?
Oh, those are good too.
That?
Animal bones are amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's bad mojo
bones?
with human remains. I really do.
It depends on the person. If they're hey, when they're alive, be you're allowed to do whatever to my bones.
Yeah,
I'm not there.
Yeah, well, and that's just my weirdness. Other people don't have that weirdness.
But if it's a Native American thing, or a sacred burial ground,
yeah, don't do that.
No. You don't point blank done and done. You do not fuck with that.
Right, and it's other people's cultures and their wishes and stuff like that.
Personally, I don't give a fuck what happens to my bones.
No.
Someone do something with this horrible sack of bones here.
Anyhow,
hang it up, bleach it, make a whole ass sculpture with my bones.
Well, that's been done with people's remains, and we'll get to that skull cathedral eventually. It says with
catacombs.
Yeah,
catacombs. They're beautiful though.
They are. With the use of modern technology, Shakespeare's final resting spot is visible without making a single disturbance to the grave and bones. Ground-penetrating radar uses high-frequency radio signal that is transmitted into the ground, and reflected signals are returned. And with the radio signals, one can see into the ground without disturbing the grave.
Okay.
Yeah, the ground-penetrating radar is really cool stuff. They have found a lot of stuff using that.
That is so cool. I'm going to have to do more research into that.
Yeah, it's a really cool technology.
We could do a whole-on video of that.
Yeah. and things that have been found?
Yeah.
I think that as far as some of the things under the Sphinx, that there were passageways, and that has been
That's well
legend for a long time. Yeah, but this sort of helped prove that. It says the Shakespeare survey, headed by the archaeologist project manager at Stratford's University, Stratfordshire. It's those damn shires again.
Worcestershire.
Oh, that comes up. University Kevin Coles disclosed that the evidence of a major repair at the head end of the grave may have been needed to correct the sinking floor, which in turn was triggered by a historic disturbance, possibly grave robbers. Shakespeare's grave, the grave of his wife, lie about a meter under the ground, which would make it easy for grave robbers to access the grave. And I meant to look and see how much a meter is for those of us that are non-metric.
We could do that in our backyard, see what's in there.
That's true. Making it easier still, there is no visual evidence of a metal coffin. Experts believe that the lack of metal suggests the body lay shrouded and buried versus a coffin burial, which is something that most people, back during those times they did. They would put them in a burial shroud and just lay them in the ground.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with that.
It's organic.
Yeah, it is. It's supposed to be. It says there are two theories as to why Shakespeare's head may have been removed. One, during that time, family members removed skulls and other body parts and placed them in another's grave. It doesn't say why. I don't know.
I want to know why.
That's just a weirdness. Well, we can research that.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
And then the other and more interesting theory is that a grave robber stole the skull. The skull is the ultimate Shakespearean trophy, but the purpose may have been to sell it for medical purposes. One idea is that the skull would have been studied for personality or intelligence using phrenology. Yes, and it's like I've got on that to-do list. That is where they study the bumps on your head, basically. But we will do a cup on phrenology.
I know what that one bump is. It's a birthmark. I got bonked on the top of my head.
That, like I said, that's a birthmark. That is superficial. That's not the actual skull itself.
I don't know. It's been there all my life. Someone had just went whack.
No. It's your crown chakra trying to open from birth on.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. At a nearby parish of Bowley in Worcestershire.
Someone say that.
Yeah, really.
Please. Can we just put an audio clip of it being pronounced?
Yeah, really, correctly.
Yeah.
A long-term theory that a skull found in a vault was that of Shakespeare. Tests revealed that this skull belonged to an unknown woman who passed away in her 70s. Because they can tell all that stuff as far as where muscles and tendons and all that stuff attached to the bones. Mm-hmm. Yes, all that stuff. Absolutely.
That's the whole point of the dissection.
Well, that's the whole point of anatomy and stuff. It's really, really cool.
You had to dissect frogs in class, didn't you?
Yes.
That was high school.
High school, and I can't remember what we did in college on some of that stuff. I know we had a fetal pig that we dissected in high school. That was interesting.
I low-key hate that I missed that.
Yeah, well.
That I missed that opportunity. I would have been the one. I would have been the one poking it.
Yeah, well, you get to poke it, and then you had to put it back together and put it back in the bag for the next go.
Yeah.
It says, while there is evidence, or evidence doesn't show a definitive skull in the scan, it doesn't show that one is missing either, so they don't know. It was inconclusive. Okay, so what are the next steps? And many may say that there is a mystery and that it should remain a mystery. John Hogg, who runs the Stratford Town Walk, enjoyed the investigation but says, quote, "We don't know for certain that the skull is missing. It is my personal feeling that he, Shakespeare, should be left alone now. He's laid there for 400 years. Mm-hmm. It's time to allow the mystery to remain just that," end quote. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I agree.
Not everything has to be explained.
No.
We need things to ponder and mysteries. And building on that, we have from National Geographic, and this is written by Becky Little, March 25th of 2016, which is why I thought that the other one was Shakespeare's skull and other famous stolen body parts.
Okay.
And so she does, reiterate basically what the other article said about the radar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's no point in going over that again. So we're going to go on to the other ones, such as Mussolini's brain.
Who?
Oh, God love you, Mussolini. He was there as far as during the time of Hitler and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was the Italian version of it. It says several years ago, the granddaughter of Benito Mussolini told the police that someone was selling parts of fascist Italian dictator's brain on eBay.
That is hilarious.
The auction site promptly removed the listing as users are not allowed to sell body parts on the site.
I mean, what? Let me have a slice of brain.
It's likely,
damn, where can I get one of those?
It's likely that the sellers didn't actually have Mussolini's brain, but it's not unthinkable. Ha ha ha.
Can I tell you 3 jokes?
Can I finish this sentence?
Joke.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
There you go.
It says that since only part of his brain was returned to his widow after he was killed at the end of World War II, and the other parts were supposedly kept in the U.S.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. There's some strange people. Mozart's skull.
This is missing too?
Yes. A decade after Austrian composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's death in 1791, a grave digger named Joseph Rothmeyer supposedly snatched the skull for himself, a souvenir that was passed down through his family until the early 20th century and was then handed over to the Salzburg, I'm going to try this, Mozarteum, that's close enough, Foundation. But researchers still aren't sure that the skull is really Mozart's. The DNA test in 2006 showed that the skull didn't match the remains of 2 of his dead relatives, which either means that the skull is a fake or that there was some infidelity going on. Find out you'd be a bastard child. Yeah. Mozart wasn't the only composer of his era to be grave robbed. Both Ludwig van Beethoven and Joseph Haydn had part of their skull stolen.
Is that why we put people in the coffins? That
part of it. Mm-hmm. That is part of it. To prevent somebody from...
Do they lock them?
What?
The grave, the casket?
I think, what it is, caskets are put in what's called a vault. Mm-hmm. It's like this big concrete box that the casket goes in, and then the earth and stuff like that is put over that. It would be actually quite cumbersome to try to rob a grave in this day and time. Yeah. Kind of the history of grave robbing, which has been going on since people have been dying.
I could be a grave robber and go only after the older ones.
No.
They got bones, man. Have this huge collection of people bones.
And then we have Thomas Paine, and he was, as far as the American Revolution, poor Thomas Paine has had his body parts flung all over the world. After the author of Common Sense, a pamphlet that influenced the American Revolution, died in the United States in the early 1800s, a Paine fanboy shipped his body to England. We know the Patriot was stored in an attic trunk for several years.
Oh my God!
And then after that, it gets murky. Now remember, this was before embalming.
No shit, it got murky. It got more than murky. It got a little
oozy.
Human soup.
Yeah. Legend has it that some of his bones were destroyed, made into buttons, or sold off individually. People have claimed to have parts of his body, a rib in France, a skull in Australia, but we still don't really know what happened to his bones. I like the button idea.
I like the button idea too.
That's pretty cool.
Have like a finger, like the tip of an index finger for a necklace.
Yeah.
Just have that.
Yeah. But see, you could do that with other beings and they wouldn't have to be humans. You could have there's other animals.
The mouse head that I had.
Yes. Did you throw that away?
I don't know. I could have made that into a necklace.
But it was terrible because after so many years, it began to look ratty.
Because it was a rat head. It started to get mites, like because all taxidermy
does that. Yes,
and it's actually a bit of upkeep for taxidermy.
Oh yeah.
So it's just I think I did just toss it in the trash.
Yeah, that's probably true because I dropped it off. It was a magnet, and I dropped it off though.
Its teeth broke out. I know that.
Yeah, that's sad. And the last one. This is the best one.
Okay.
Napoleon. And the writer says, you can't make this stuff up. During French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte's autopsy in the 1820s, a doctor cut off his penis and gave it to a priest.
A priest? A priest?
And it says, the appendage...
Why a priest?
Right, that's what I wondered. The appendage has since resurfaced. In the 1920s, it went on display in Manhattan, and it says a Time magazine journalist was not impressed. And then an American urologist bought the penis in the 1970s, and it has remained in his family ever since.
That
as an object of study.
Is hilarious.
Well,
how do they study it? They just look at it once in a while. They just look up on the shelf and look at it.
Well, I'm sure that it's very mummified. Dick. Yeah. Here, this is a mummified dick that belonged to Napoleon.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, this one was not even allegedly because they knew. It was true. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Short man syndrome.
Yeah.
So maybe that was another reason he was angry.
Possibly.
So I thought those were some really interesting things. Don't be a grave robber. Don't do that because the spirits will come back and curse you. That is a sure way to,
Unless the people say, hey, after, like when they're alive, they put it in their will, after so many years, you can dig up my bones.
Now I think that as far as during some of those earlier times, 1700s and 1800s, that families often would have skulls, sort of like that.
Soup bowls.
Well, no, that was the Buddhists that did that as far as the soup bowls, and they, but I don't know. It's like the screaming skull and stuff like that. We did cover that a long time ago. You have to look through the archives on some of these things, but I don't know that I would want to have family member's skull sitting there. We have replica skull that is not actual skull.
I wouldn't mind. You would mind. I would mind.
I mean, it depends on who it was. If it was somebody we didn't like.
Oh, that's when you put it on a pole and hang it outside.
That's true. That is true. That you could do that. That could be interesting.
You just take the cap off, put a candle in it. There you go.
Yep.
Don't come over here.
Well, and that was just like one of the things. Now I don't think we have ever discussed the hand of glory, have we?
No, there was one time that I wanted to ask you about it, but you were like, don't even ask me about that.
No, that's some bad mojo right there. I mean, seriously.
You did not. It was a strong repulsion.
It is some really, really dark magic. I mean, it's just one of those, but...
Like, darker than hoodoo or voodoo?
Oh, yeah.
Or Haitian stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anytime you get into dark magic, I don't know that it's a matter of...
Forgive me.
Which one's is worse than whose.
Forgive me if I'm being ignorant as far as, like, voodoo or hoodoo being dark magic or whatever. I honestly don't know much about it.
Every magic has that you can either use it for the forces of good or the other. So... But with the Hand of Glory, what happened on that, it was supposed to be, and those are really hard to find these days, of someone who had been hanged. Preferably somebody who had been a murderer. and that you were supposed to cut the hand off while they were, still on the gallows. Yeah.
I don't know if that sits right with me. I don't think that does. That just sounds automatically like...
Don't do that.
That's bad vibes.
Oh, yeah.
You're just asking for trouble with that.
Now, what did you... But it is used in black magic. So,
how many people have those?
At this point in history, I would say not many, because it's not like, they go around hanging people like they used to as far as criminals. And
I think that's a very rare execution style now.
yeah, because it's usually firing squad or sometimes lethal injection or whatever. It depends on what country that you're in also. But that
it's lethal
was
injection here in America, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's one of them. They don't. We need to do that as far as execution. Go through the different methods and the pros and the cons. So that's another cup that we can explore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man's inhumanity to man. But as far as don't be messing with the magics.
No.
Even as far as if you think, oh, okay, if I do this, it would help this person's life. Maybe and maybe not. That's a reason it's supposed to leave all that stuff into God's hands, because He can see what we can't. We could do something that we'd think would be beneficial and could lead to somebody's demise. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that whole free will thing. So just let God be God.
Yes.
And somebody give Napoleon back his penis.
Find his grave and put it back. What is he, a hermaphrodite now?
I think probably everything except that has already gone back to dust and dirt. So there you go. There's about 10,000 jokes that can come from today's cup of coffee. So abuse your family and friends with these factoids.
His body's no longer, so I guess you could just say he's a dick.
That's good. That one was good. We'll end on that one. If you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, interesting grave robbing stories, if you've got local, regional, family myths or legends, you can send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. The email address is there in the description box in case you miss it. You didn't miss it. So, you all have a beautiful, blessed day. Thank you all for having coffee with us, and hopefully a few bad puns. They were just so there.
And if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. Thank you all, and have a good.
We'll see you on the next cup. Bye.
Yes.